Holy cow. This game's pretty big then on Sunday. Let's bring the man, the myth, the legend in here, man. He's been killing it here on the program. He is our friend, the Godfather. Hey, man, a lot of ball to be played.
Go Birds, baby. Go Birds.
Hey, wait now. Hey, check this out. If they lose this weekend, that means that they're a game behind, or they're a game up on San Francisco and Dallas, who is also 8-3. 49ers win that game. 49ers get the tiebreaker then because they've beaten Dallas and they've beaten Philly. And if they win out, they would host the NFC title game, and that game in Arlington would determine the NFC East, kind of what you've been saying the entire year.
It's that close, man. That's why I took the Cowboys at 16-1. It's all about the price. We don't bet on teams. We bet on price. And I said it all year. Are the Cowboys as good as the Eagles? Slightly off. I mean, the Eagles are slightly better. But if the ball bounces their way, or if San Fran gets hot down the stretch and the Eagles lose to Buffalo this weekend and then they lose the Cowboys in Dallas, well, then here come the Cowboys. And Dak Prescott's down to 7-1 to win the MVP right now.
Who's a bigger favorite to win the MVP? Is it Jalen or him still?
Jalen is, but here comes Dak Prescott. He's putting up some big numbers, man. And if Jalen falters down the stretch a little bit, Dak's coming on strong.
So these next 3 weeks could determine the MVP award too.
Yeah, there's a lot of football left. There's a ton of football left. It ain't over yet. You know, I know that all the Eagles fans are loving that 9-1 record. But like I said, last couple of weeks, this is probably the best 7-3 or 6-4 team I've seen in the NFL in a long time, and they're lucky to be 9-1.
What'd you take away from the Cowboy win against the Commanders?
Not much. I mean, the Commanders' pass defense is one of the worst in the NFL. I knew Dak was going to have a big game. I gave out the over in his passing yards. I gave out CD Lamb to score a touchdown, Turpin to score a touchdown at plus 750 at 7-1. We were all over the Cowboy. The Commanders are just a bad team.
Were you shocked that Detroit laid an egg?
I was. Even though I was on the Packers plus 8, I thought Detroit would win the game. I knew last time they played, the Packers lost by 14 points, but they had a bunch of offensive linemen out, and they were actually more injured than they were last time they played than going into this game, and their defense was getting healthier. I just didn't expect Detroit to lose the game, though.
Do you think San Francisco is a better football team than the Philadelphia Eagles?
When they're healthy, yes. When they're healthy, I think they're better.
You think Seattle's falling apart?
No, I just don't think they're, at that upper echelon with the Eagles.
You think they make the playoffs?
Yeah, they got a shot. I mean, they got a shot. I just don't think they're as good as the Eagles, the 49ers, the Cowboys, Detroit. They're like, a tier below those teams.
Do you think what do you think the Eagles' record would be? Get this. I'm going to show you something here. Personally, I think the Browns and the Steelers are going to get knocked out. I think the Texans make it, and I think the Broncos and Bills sneak in. Look at these quarterbacks you'll have. Lamar Jackson, as of today, is the number 1 seed in the AFC. You'd have Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Tua. Then you would have C.J. Stroud, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen would be your playoffs by the end. Right now, it's Browns, Texans, and Steelers rounding out the wild cards. But I think those other teams, because do you think the Broncos, are you more high on them now making the postseason now that they've evened their record at 5-5? Or do you think that's still a stretch?
They won 4 in a row, but their defense is still suspect to me. They're one of the lowest sack percentage rates on their defensive line in the NFL. To make the playoffs, you got to have a great defensive line that gets a lot of pressure on quarterbacks, and you got to have a solid offense. And the offensive side has gotten fixed, I think, with Russell Wilson. But that defense is still suspect to me, and they got a long road ahead of them. I don't know if they make the playoffs, to tell you the truth, Dan. It's going to be tough for them to make the playoffs.
All right, let's get into today. Miami and the Jets. What do you got today?
I mean, the game already went off. Miami's blowing them out.
They're killing them right now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. What's the score? I think they're smoking that team right now.
The Jets have laid an egg, right? Man, what
27-6. I mean, all you got to do is lay 9 points. They're only up by by 21.
Are you buying them now, Miami? Now that Jalen Ramsey's back, they're playing better on defense.
As they get healthier, they're one of the most dangerous teams in the AFC. They got so many weapons on offense. Defensively, they're going to get healthier. Their offensive line is getting healthier. They got one of the better coaches in the AFC. I think I like him a lot. McDaniel's one of the young guys out there that I like. Yeah, they're a very dangerous team, this Miami team. And as they get healthier down the stretch, I mean, you saw them against the Eagles. You know, they had some brain cramps. Tyreek dropped a touchdown pass. Tua threw an interception in the end zone. 10 penalties for a gazillion yards in that matchup. This is a very good team.
Sunday games. Carolina at Tennessee. That's a game where you want to hope that you're 3 scotches in.
Yeah, the game opened up 4.5. It's down to 3.5. I think it's a coin flip. Give me Carolina plus 3.5. I mean, both teams are bad. Both teams are atrocious. Carolina showing a little bit of fight down the stretch here. I mean, give me the points.
Do you think Bryce Young's the guy?
He doesn't look like it this year, but you got to give him at least one more season. They got a horrible offensive line. They're so dysfunctional. You got to give him at least one more year playing time to really decide how good that kid is.
Tell you what, David Tepper knows how to make a lot of money, man, but he don't know how to make football, does he? That shows you sometimes right there. Just because you think you know how to make a lot of money doesn't mean you know how to make good football teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different type of business. It's just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean
it's a people business. That's why, Philly Godfather, the NFL is a people business. And when you're in that kind of business and making money, you don't give a shit about the people.
Right. I mean, but then you got Howie. Howie's unreal for the Eagles, man. If it wasn't for him, I don't know where this team would be because Sirianni doesn't impress me. Howie's pretty sharp.
He just had to cut Derek Barnett. Holy cow. Derek Barnett had more tackles than sacks. I mean, no, excuse me. He had more penalties than sacks.
How old is he now? He's up there, ain't he?
I lost track, man. Hey, I lost track of Derek Barnett 4 years ago, dude. I mean, seriously, man, that guy was given a roster spot, and they gave him a chair because he was a first-round pick. This is an interesting game. Jags at Houston.
That's huge. It's a huge game. I mean, I know the Jags have one more win on the season, but the Texans actually have the better point differential on the year. Revenge spot here for Jacksonville. If you remember the first time they played, I think they lost 37-17, but they did turn over the ball twice in that game. So they lost the turnover differential 2-0, which is huge in the NFL. Anytime that happens, you lose the game over 80% of the time. C.J. Stroud actually has a better odds to be the MVP now than Lawrence. I mean, no one expected this kid to come in and play like he has. Both teams are playing some pretty good football down the stretch. I think Texans have won 4 of their last 5. Jags 6 of their last 7. I like the Jags here. Anything under a field goal, revenge spot. I think they don't turn the ball over like they did the first time around, and they win this game. They're the better team.
I'd forgotten what you said. If the Eagles were in the AFC, what would their record be?
Maybe 5-5, 6-4. I don't know. Yeah, to be honest, I'm busting chops, but they have beaten the Chiefs, which is I mean, they got lucky, but they still beat a pretty good team. I don't know if they'd be 9-1, but 6-4, 7-3, definitely.
Oh my God. New England at the Giants. I mean, hey, who would have ever thought that New England's the shittiest team in the NFL?
2 of the worst offenses in the NFL. Total's down to 34 points. I mean, that's a low total. The line went from 5.5. It's down to 3.5, 3 in some spots. Giants, I don't know. I'm not looking to bet the game here. Especially, I'm not looking to lay 3.5 on the Patriots on the road. I'm not looking to bet this game in no shape, form, or fashion. Sure. It's just a bad game.
Oh, tone just goes like this. What do you mean, luck? You can't throw the word luck at people from Philly, dude. They don't believe in luck.
I mean, 9-1 with the 6th best point differential in the NFL. There's a little luck involved there. Let's be honest. There's 4 or 5 games that could have went the other way. It's there's a lot of luck involved this year for this Eagles team. And God, listen, if they can keep winning games like this and win the Super Bowl like this, well, God bless them. But usually your luck runs out.
So if they get the Cowboys in the opening round of the playoffs, because the way it's looking today, if you were to do it, here's how the second round of the divisional game would be. It'd be Lions and Niners, and it would be Cowboys and Eagles at Lincoln Financial. Who would you take in that game?
Depends on the price, but game will probably come out Eagles -3, and I'd probably have a big wager on the Cowboys +3 and on the money line. I think they win that game outright in Philly.
Pittsburgh at Cincinnati.
It's a tough game, man. No Joe Burrow. But that kid, he looked pretty good against the Ravens. I mean, he threw for like 68 yards and a touchdown. He looked serviceable. The total's down to 35. It was 41.5 when Burrow was supposed to play. I kind of like the over. I think both teams can score some points here. Pittsburgh fired their offensive coordinator, so they can only get better. They can't get worse than they were on offense. So I like the over 35 points in this matchup. And I'm leaning towards the Bengals. I mean, the line originally was like 6. Burrow got hurt. Now it's Pittsburgh -1.5, 2. If the game gets to 2.5, I'll probably buy the half a point and take the Bengals +3.
You know, I wouldn't throw this game at you without laughing at it, but Tampa Bay and the Colts, and I'll tell you why. The Colts are sitting in a 9-hole right now. They're 5-5 on the season. They beat this Bucs team, and if the Browns and the Steelers, like I said, and the Texans start to wobble here a little bit, hard to believe that the Colts with Gardner Minshew could potentially be right there at the 8th spot or potentially even the 7th spot by Monday if they win this ball game. Kind of crazy here. They win this game. Do you think they take this game? It's at home too in Indy.
I mean, we're talking about Minshew. The Colts have put up 27 or more points 4 times.
He's played well.
And in all 4 games, Minshew has been quarterback. He's been putting up points for that team. Game opened up 1. Right now it's Colts -2.5. There's some sharp money in the Colts. Tampa Bay's offense is what, the 3rd worst in the NFC, maybe 6th worst in the NFL. They can't score. I kind of like the Colts here. Anything under a field goal, I think they get the job done, man. The Colts' pass defense is better. Their overall defense is better. They're better on offense in every metric. Tampa has a tough time scoring. The only thing Tampa's better at is stopping a run, but I don't think they can beat the Colts here. I like the Colts.
How about this? If you had to pick between the Browns, wait a minute, let me look. Texans, Steelers, Colts. And if both of them, all 3 of them were 6-5, who would you take out of that group?
To make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Texans, Steelers,
Colts.
Man, that's tough.
They'd all 3 be 6-5. They could all 3 be 6-5 come Monday.
I think the better teams, the Texans, then the Colts, and the Steelers.
I agree. Cleveland at Denver. Denver has a shot here to get to 6-5.
Yeah, they've been playing some good football. Like we said, 4 wins in a row for Denver. Cleveland's got one of the best defenses in football. If it's not the best, it's between them and the Ravens. On paper, I think the Ravens are slightly better, but when you watch them play, I think Cleveland's defense is better. Denver just doesn't get no pressure on that defensive line. One of the worst teams in the NFL in sack percentage. You got a young quarterback in Cleveland. It's a tough game. The game's basically what is it? It's 1.5. It hasn't moved all week. It opened 1.5. It's still 1.5. Total's at 36, which I think is a little short. Denver has a nice home field advantage up there with the altitude, but this one's a tough one. I kind of like Cleveland +1.5. I think their defense is just so much better than Denver's. I know Denver's been playing some pretty good football over the last 4 games, but I think Cleveland's a better team.
You know, I didn't ask you. Buffalo at Philly. What do you got?
Buffalo's a weird team, right? They've lost 4 games this year by 1 score or less, and that's not even counting the first game of the season against the Jets when they lost.
Which they came back and crushed them 32-6 last week.
Yeah, and it's a tough one. Game opened up 3.5, went to 3.
Short work week, too.
It is. I kind of like Buffalo +3.5. I think they win the game. They have the better point differential on the season than the Eagles do. They got the better quarterback, much better quarterback, even though he hasn't showed it this year, but he is the better quarterback. I like Buffalo here, plus the points, and I think they win the game outright. Go Birds!
Fuck. Kansas City at the Raiders, man.
Line's up to 10. I mean, 10-point road favorites in the NFL, but you got a short total. Total's down to 43.5. I think the Raiders can hang around. I mean, anytime, a team like Kansas City plays Philly, the following week, both teams will underperform, man. It was a tough game for both teams. Anything over 10, I kind of like the Raiders. Give me the Raiders plus 10. I think they hang around.
Okay. So you're taking the points, but you think KC wins.
Oh, no, I think Kansas City wins. That's a big number, though, especially coming off a big, grueling game against a team like the Eagles. I like the Raiders plus 10.
Baltimore at the Chargers. This is a weird game here.
Baltimore against Chargers. This Chargers team, every game, like we said, it's a rerun of the game that just happened, right? They lose. Like this team finds more ways to. I'm surprised Brandon Staley's still the coach. And they really in, right? They're giving you the hook, 3.5. Chargers plus 3.5. The right side's the Chargers plus 3.5 here. I gave up betting on that team. I'm not going to invest in them anymore. They break your heart each and every week. But the right side, I think, is the Chargers here, plus 3.5.
You think, is Baltimore one of those teams that can win the Super Bowl, in your opinion?
Man, I love Lamar Jackson during the regular season, but in the playoffs, I mean,
one win.
And it's like dropping off a cliff. His regular season stats, his regular season win percentage, and then the playoffs on the other side. Man, it's tough. I mean, they can win a Super Bowl. It's just he's got to come up big in the playoffs, and he hasn't done it so far. And against the better teams with the better defenses, he comes up short each and every time in the playoffs. So, yeah, but they can do it this year.
Philly Godfather's got the Buffalo Bills winning Sunday. I love on the line and head to head. That's freaking that's spectacular, man. Monday night, Chicago, Minnesota. Minnesota's still in it. Chicago is never in it.
Game opened up 4. It's down to 3 even money.
Kicking what?
There's some sharp money on the Bears here.
Nobody believes Minnesota's going to make the playoffs then with Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, they can put up some points, though. Their offense is pretty good. I didn't bet the game yet. It's still early in the week. I'm waiting for all the injury reports because that could sway your opinion in the NFL, especially if some key guys and key positions are out. I haven't bet the game. I'm not looking to bet the game unless I identify a huge edge on this game. I'm probably not going to bet it. It just seems like a low total to me, though, 43. If anything, I'd probably go over 43, but I haven't done anything on this matchup yet.
Well, finally, my Canes show up, so that game's over. UM destroyed BC 42-20.
Yeah.
Are you buying the Longhorns on the? This is college side now. Texas Tech, Texas. You buying the Longhorns? You think they're going to be a shot to win the national title? Or how about this? You think they get in the Final Four?
I don't know.
See, I think Bama's the best one-loss team, and I know they beat them.
Yeah. Right now, their odds to win the whole thing's 14-1. Alabama's higher at 7-1. Oregon's at 6-1. Ohio State's at 550. Michigan and Georgia basically plus 250. I don't think they get into playoffs, to tell you the truth. I don't think they got a shot of winning it.
I don't either.
I think Alabama's better. I think Georgia's better. I think even Michigan or Ohio State's better. I don't think they get in there.
What about this Oregon State, Oregon? What do you think of Oregon? I think Oregon's a really good football team.
One of the best defenses in the country. Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
Second in the Heisman. I think Jaden Daniels and Penix and Bo Nix, I think it's a 3-guy race.
Well, right now it's Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. They're the 2 favorites.
Yeah.
Penix. They're a good team. Oregon's a good team. They gave that game away to Washington. I think they're the better team. I think they got a shot at getting in. Right now they got the 4th best odds to win it all at 6-1, only behind Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia. So they're a good football team. I actually like them this week. I laid 13 on them. So
here the big one is Ohio State at Michigan. No Jim Harbaugh on the sideline. Yeah. The quarterback for Michigan hasn't played the greatest. Now, is that something to do? How about this? Some people are going like this. Look at how he's not played since the sign signals and all that guy's not there. And I don't think anything has to do with anything. However, the Buckeyes, they beat Notre Dame, but I don't know how big a win that is anymore. Looking at this game here, I mean, both teams really don't have signature wins outside of Ohio State beating Penn State and Notre Dame. I think Ohio State's got a better resume than what Michigan does. How do you see this? It's in Ann Arbor.
Yeah, both teams have great red zone defenses. I mean, Michigan's slightly better. There's no Harbaugh, like you said, and in some crucial moments that could be big in this game. I think JJ's better than McCord, but then you got Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got Henderson running the ball down people's throats. So they got.
I think Henderson looks like the best back in the country right now.
He looks good. And who's the better athlete than Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, so you got some weapons there.
What's the line on this?
It was 4, went down to 3. It's back to 3.5. The only thing scares me about taking Ohio State is Michigan is ranked 3rd in the country in turnover margin, and Ohio State's ranked 59th. So they give away the ball every once in a while a little too much. And a game like this, that's real close. If you lose a turnover battle 1-0, you lose the game like 65% of the time. I think Ohio State can cover a 4-point spread. I took them +4 because Harbaugh is not going to be on the field. I think that's going to hurt Michigan a little bit, but I think Michigan's the better team. I think Michigan wins the game, but when they're giving you 4 points, I think it's a field goal game, to be honest.
You think it's high scoring or low scoring?
I mean, what did he put up last year? A ton of yards, ton of points. You got two good defenses, man. I think it's a lower scoring game this year. But I like Ohio State. I took them +4.
You taking them outright too?
No, I hope not.
You think Michigan wins outright, right?
Yeah, I got 9-1 ticket on Michigan to win the whole thing. I got 3 dimes on them. If they win the whole thing, or I win 27,000. If they just get to the national championship, I can hedge my bet and guarantee myself 15 grand risk free. So I'm hoping Michigan don't lose here, because if they get in the playoffs, they'll probably end up at the college football championship. But you're getting 4 points. Michigan might be slightly better. I think they got the better quarterback, even though McCord might have better numbers. He's got more weapons, but I think McCarthy's the better quarterback. +4 points, a lot of points in a game this close. But they are at home, Michigan, so I think they win the game.
Just for shits and giggles, say it was Georgia, Michigan in the national title game. Who would you take?
Georgia. It's an SEC school, man. I mean, Georgia's.
Well, what do you think would be a tougher odds for Michigan to win it? Bama or Georgia? Because I got to tell you, don't think that this can't happen. Alabama upsets Georgia, and yet the committee still puts Georgia in the Final Four because you have 2 one-loss teams out of the SEC. I mean, one of these other teams folds. I mean, I don't think. Look, Florida State's not going anywhere. They've already penalized them for the quarterback, Travis Jordan, being injured.
So who gets in? You got Georgia. If Michigan beats Ohio State, Michigan's in. If Oregon beats Washington, right? But then you got to put one more team in. You might put Alabama in there if they beat Georgia, right?
Yeah.
So you might have 2 teams from the SEC.
See, I think the way you get 2 in is Bama beating Georgia. That's where you'd have to really have a tough conversation. And to me, the odd team out is Texas, because somebody from the Pac-12 is going in there this year.
Yeah.
There's 3 great teams out there this year that I think could compete for it.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Oregon. So
yeah, Oregon.
That's a tough game, man. I don't know if Michigan can beat Georgia, but I'm just hoping they get there. But once they get there, anything can happen. It depends on how banged up Georgia, is going into the college football championship. I mean, injuries are huge. You know that, Dan. You know what I mean? So,
how about the Iron Bowl, Alabama, Auburn? It's in Auburn too.
I'm not betting against Alabama down the stretch.
I like to dub this game the shit bowl, FSU versus the Gators. It's in Gainesville, where the alligator farm is. So these 2 loser programs.
Spoken like a real guy that went to Miami.
Sorry, did I show my colors here a little bit? I apologize.
The game opened 6. It's up to 7. It's on that key number 7. I kind of like Florida +7. I think they can hang around, man. I think they can hang around here.
I really don't care. Last one here for you. Notre Dame, Stanford. It's in Stanford and Palo Alto. You know, I like the job that Freeman's done with that football team, man. Even though I'm not a gigantic Notre Dame guy either, I do dig some good things are going on there. Touchdown, Jesus.
Try and guess what the spread is. It's 27 points.
You're kidding.
Yeah, 26.5.
Stanford sucks that bad?
Yeah, and the total is only 50.
I'm taking Stanford.
I mean, that's what it looks like. I didn't touch the game. I'm not looking to bet the game. The whole world's going to bet Notre Dame. If it gets past 27, I'm seeing 26.5 right now. If it gets to like 27.5, you got to take nibble on the dog for small money. I mean, that's a lot of points.
Beat Notre Dame one year, 58-7.
Wow.
Biggest loss in the history of the program. I go back to see, look, here's my high school. I played at Catholic High in Stanford, and the nuns go like this. Why'd you beat God's team so bad? And I went, touchdown, Jesus took a knee today. I go, she's like, how could you do that? And I like, do what? Because you beat God's team. I'm like, God's team. Oh, I resent that team. I resent that team.
Oh,
I do, man. Anyway, hey, how was the turkey day, man?
It was good, man. I had my mom cooked a bunch of food. My wife cooked a bunch of food. The best of both worlds, Greek food, Puerto Rican food. I mean, I was just I probably gained 15 pounds, but it's all right. It's all right.
Oh, yeah. In about 10 minutes here, man, I'm getting ready to dive in and start devouring. Like, you know what? I'm like a serial killer. I clean everything off the bone. When it comes to eating turkey, man, I'm a serial eater.
It's so good. And then everything else that comes with it, all the sides, all the desserts. Oh, my God. I haven't had sugar in a while. I've cut out sugar for a long time. And, man, I overdosed on sugar yesterday between the baklava, the tres leches, and all the other stuff they made. It was just so good. God bless them.
Yeah. Well, I had a hunk of coconut cream pie last night just to make you – someone goes, Sills, you want a slice? No. I want a hunk. Philly Godfather, tell people how they can find you, my friend.
Go Birds. And you can find me on Twitter at Philly Godfather. You can stop by the phillygodfather.com. Here come the Cowboys. Let's be honest. Birds fans, you got to be honest. I'm going to hook you up to a lie detector test. You know you're scared. Here come the Cowboys.
Oh, and he's picking the Bills to win this weekend with the money and outright. Whoa. How you doing? All right, bro. I'll see you next week. Thank you so much, man. Have a great weekend.
God bless. I'll see you then.
All right, let me take a quick time out. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.